Fort Collins real estate has appreciated by over 130% over the last decade, which is an annual appreciation increase of about 9% per year, placing Fort Collins in the top 20% of all U.S. cities for appreciation increase. Fort Collins is a highly desirable place to live. People love it because of the natural beauty, thriving economy, excellent quality of life, and an abundance of recreational opportunities. I love living here. Many people love living here, and because of that, many people are moving here. The real estate market is very active. So if you're thinking of buying a property in this area, here are 4 things every home buyer should know. Number 1, the location you choose to live in Fort Collins will greatly shape your experience. You've heard it said 1,000 times, location, location, location. Where the property is located determines the quality of life, and that's different for every person. When it comes to location in areas of Fort Collins, the desirability of an area truly is going to depend on what's valuable to you. For example, how important is it to you to be close to certain amenities, healthcare facilities, grocery stores, certain schools? Also, different neighborhoods will have different characteristics that may be important to you. Do you want a pool in your neighborhood? A dog park? Are you hoping to have mature trees with a larger yard? If that's the case, in Fort Collins, you may need to stay right in the city limits. But if you prefer newer and are okay with a smaller yard, then parts of the east side of Fort Collins, north side. A lot of people like to live close to I-25 so they can go north to someplace like Cheyenne or south to Denver. Now, on the other hand, if you're planning on doing a lot of your work right in Fort Collins and you're wanting to utilize public transportation, being centrally located in the Midtown area is probably going to be more helpful for you because you can hop on the MAX line, which is our public transportation system. It can take you from north to south Fort Collins in no time. Are you looking for scenic views of the city? Are you looking for expansive views of the mountains? Are you okay with a neighborhood that feels more suburban within Fort Collins? Or are you looking for more of the walkable, vibrant life that we find in Old Town Fort Collins? Are you wanting to live near CSU? Are you looking to be near the foothills where you can easily hike and access the mountains and Horsetooth Reservoir? Or are you open to outskirts? There's a lot of development happening in areas of Timnath and Windsor in particular. The second thing everyone should know about buying real estate in Fort Collins is it's a hot market. Being that we're on the top of the list of places to live in America time and time again, we draw a lot of people to this area. And there's low supply for the demand, so don't be surprised if those cream puff properties that everybody wants are still highly competitive. So for some people, new construction is the way to go because it provides builder incentives like potentially a rate buy down or closing costs. There's less competition with the new build homes, and you can actually get into them with maybe a contingency of selling your house. Now, the drawbacks to most of the new builds include being on the outskirts of town, typically less developed neighborhood, less mature trees and landscaping. And these are the kinds of things you're gonna have to process with your agent. So there's some challenges to working in this hot market. People wanna be here, so there's a competitiveness. We have to be strategic because we wanna win the bid, but we don't wanna overpay. And that's the dance of buying real estate in Fort Collins. Now, the flip side of that challenge is that generally speaking, if you've owned real estate in Fort Collins over the last few decades, it's been a financially profitable move. Which leads me to point number 3. What every buyer should know about real estate in Fort Collins is it's a smart investment. Fort Collins has a thriving economy, a stable employment market, and a consistently high standard of living. And these factors make this area appealing for both renters and home buyers, which means we have a steady demand for real estate. And we have diverse housing options in Fort Collins, everything from affordable, smaller apartments to luxury residences. There are options for just about everyone who's wanting to buy a home here. Another reason buying property is a smart investment in Fort Collins is we have a strong rental market, largely due to the fact that there is a large student population as well as young professionals. The 4th thing every buyer should know about real estate in Fort Collins is you should know how much you can afford in Fort Collins and the surrounding areas. And this is going to provide clarity to your process. You need to know what you're working with. It allows you to balance your wish list with what you can actually afford. Now, if you got your number from an online mortgage calculator, it can be somewhat helpful, but it may not take into account the unique and specific characteristics of your situation. Factors like HOA, metro taxes, your unique credit score, other expenses in this area. I want to make sure that you're working with an accurate scenario. So be aware of how the cost of moving to Fort Collins compares to where you're currently living. Let's say you're moving from Southern California. Fort Collins may seem quite affordable, but if you're coming from other areas where this is way more expensive than what you're used to, perhaps a smaller home or less yard, a mortgage with a new home here may be a large leap in cost. And this may determine the size and location of the home that you're initially able to purchase when you move here. So here's the big step that you'll need to take. Start by talking with a lender. They can help you dial in that number and make sure that you've accounted for things like how much you're going to need for a down payment, what's your interest rate going to be, what's your monthly payment going to be. And you're also going to need to factor in the closing costs, which run about 2 to 6% around here for buyers. Make sure you consider those moving costs and any repairs, projects, or landscaping that may still be needed in the home. For more great info on Fort Collins, be sure to check out my video on how living in Fort Collins changed my life. This is Amy Holton with the Group Real Estate. Be sure to click the bell below to subscribe so you can see new videos and further discover Fort Collins, Colorado.
That was good.
I'm losing my mind. I know.